Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Dungeon Boss Hero Spotlight. Today we are taking a look at the brand new hero, Marrow. You can maybe call him Marrow. I call him Marrow. It looks like bone marrow, so I'm going to call him Marrow from this point forward. Marrow starts off as a low-level hero. He is going back to the traditional roots of these guild events, similar to when Darius first came out. He is easily obtainable. So for all of you new players, take a moment, find a guild, and go ahead and just get him. It doesn't take much effort at all to get him. You can get him 1-starred. I'm sure he's going to be useful for you in the many months to come. So there's really no excuse not to get him. You don't have to grind near as hard as you did with Solaris. Solaris was a 3-star hero to start with, and Marrow is not. So I have not actually gotten Marrow yet, so this is a sort of unboxing, if you will. We're going to take a look at his traits, his abilities, and synergies, things like that. We're going to check out his viability in PvP, PvE, and just the overall is he worth it concept. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this bad boy summoned here. So I've saved a bunch of quests. I basically spent the afternoon yesterday doing these. So here's all of my stuff. I haven't accepted any of them, so I don't have anything on him yet as far as knowledge. I have not summoned him, have not looked at anything. I gave a quick once-over of the hero card that was on the events tab. I didn't really read it thoroughly, though. I wanted to be basically a first experience similar to what you're experiencing. So I'm just going to go ahead and claim some of these so I can get some tokens for him. And then we will summon him and have a quick look at his overview. Alrighty, here we go. We're going to go ahead and summon him at 1 star. He looks like kind of a fish. Actually, yeah, he looks like the deep sea angler. That little bulb over his head. He's basically a deep sea angler fish. Not sure how that's going to play out, other than the fact that we do know he's a monster. That's about it right now as far as what I know. So we certainly don't have any fish heroes. That's an interesting concept. I kind of like his character art. But let's see what he looks like once we actually ascend him. So starting out, he is a caster and he is a monster. Caster I wasn't expecting. I expected more of, I guess when I see a light hero, I don't expect caster. I usually think things like rogues or tanks, ninjas and such like that. But starting out, we do have a 1-star. I do have enough tokens to get him that second one, which would have been 30 tokens. It goes 10, 30, 70, 100, 150, 250. If you feel like spending money, you could buy those packages, 2 of them for 250 tokens. Get 500 total. You'd be very close to a 6-star. I don't know if that's worth it yet. That's part of what we're looking at today. Stats are going to be a little bit underwhelming to start with. Any 1-star hero is going to have low stats, so I can't really say that his stats are good or bad at this point. Once he gets up to 5-star, then we can start assessing the situation a little bit better. Looks like he's got a reasonably high crit chance, 15%. I don't know if that's decent or not. I would say it's going to get up to about 25 when he's 6-starred. His resistances are pretty much a standard par for the course. But let's go ahead and look at his traits here first before we get into his abilities. Starts off, he is mystical, so he's got boosted damage for tanks and slow targets. That is just a caster thing. Monster Scout increases skill by 15% for all monster allies. I'm not really sure where that's going to play a part yet, aside from things like poison damage from Phoenix, Phenol, if you're going to use him. Poison damage is going to increase quite a bit as far as that goes. I think ultimately this trait here is going to be more so for him than anybody. We'll see how that plays out, though, once we actually get him runed out and put on a team. I'm not going to commit to anything as far as this trait goes right now. It's just increased skill. We all know that skill is kind of cryptic at best. This last one, Electric Feel, he has a chance to shock melee attackers and a chance to shock on attack. So it's basically a permanent electric skin. I don't know why we don't call it electric skin. Electric Feel is basically the same thing. So Yeah. I kind of had a feeling, based on running some of the event dungeons, that shock damage was going to be a major player in the event dungeon, so it's not a surprise that he has this trait. I assume it's going to come in handy for the most difficult dungeon. Also, lately we've been seeing shock damage do well in PvP against some of the dark teams with Shade and Hopper. I feel like this may be a direct counter to that process. His first abilities, he has a bite attack. Keep in mind, a bite attack, there are certain heroes that amplify that. First thing that comes to mind is Hopper with the marked value, increases bite damage. Looking at this bite attack, it is 234 base damage, which tells me it looks like it's about a third of his basic attack. I don't know if that's the case. When he's fully ascended and maxed out, we'll see if that climbs up closer to the 50%, which is what a lot of people have for their base attack. His first attack is Lure. If we look at the little art for it, the little graphic, this looks exactly like a deep sea anglerfish would do, is it lures. The actual skill itself looks like melee light attack on target for 295 damage, consumes all buffs and paralyzes them for 3 turns. Gains energy and heals from each buff purged. So this looks to me like it is pretty amazing stuff. With the anytime we have a purging of buffs on enemy heroes, that's always a good thing, especially in PvP. Now, as far as where he fits in terms of his turn, I haven't isolated that yet. He doesn't say that he's fast. That might have made him overpowered. He might be someone like Ember, where they become fast with a final ascension. We'll find that out soon enough. But going back to this skill here, so consumes the buff and paralyzes them. Paralyze is not a trait that I've seen yet. I believe that is a new trait. Paralyze means they wouldn't be able to act, really. I'm guessing it's going to be a similar mechanic to Frozen, or possibly cryo sleep, something like that, where they just can't move. I'm sure that'll play a part once we actually get into dungeons and see what it actually looks like. We'll see what the paralyze actually does. The big one here, I think, in my opinion, is gains energy and heals for each of the buffs purged. Gaining that energy, I think, is going to be critical. He's a caster, so obviously he's going to need energy. We'll see what his other skills are. We can see from my little diamonds here that I do have the ability to ascend him. Looking at his overall ascension, his first one looks pretty moderate. With the exception of those light monarchs, 40 of them is pretty hefty. That's going to be tough to muster up for some low-level accounts. But the Celestial, we need Caveborns. Caveborns, we only need 4 of them. That's a pretty reasonable first ascension, which for a 1-star hero, that's pretty common. A lot of those other low-level heroes in the Great Summon are similar, where they only require maybe 2 or 4 Celestial Evos to upgrade. Rather than looking at the traits on his character sheet after we upgrade, we'll take a look at what we're getting directly from the Ascension. First up is Light Nova, which is his second skill or second ability, which is a ranged light attack on all enemies. So that's another AoE attack. Actually, I didn't see if his first one was AoE. No, his first one is a single target attack. So this is his AoE attack. He is a caster, so he's definitely, entitled to one. Gives allies a chance to shock on attack for 3 turns. So basically it's going to give them an electric attack for the most part. Doesn't say anything like the energize, like with Echo, for example, or any other buffs like Goblin Dance Party. It looks like it's just the ability to shock. Again, that plays into that notion that shock damage is kind of, the way to go. Next up, Mystical 2, nothing special about that. Monster Scout 2, so it's a better increase to skill. And then we have Slippery When Wet. Starts the dungeon with Taunt on the highest health tank. Takes reduced damage from area of effect. So he has a basically a permanent Kai mechanic on him. That's actually good. Starts a dungeon with taunt on the highest tank. That is actually a pretty amazing effect. So some people will know with Solaris you can force taunt with both Julius and Pygnius. And when you use the reptiles, you can force taunt with Krex. Until then, or until now, those are the only options that we had for force taunting. I think with this here, I haven't given it a ton of thought because I just literally saw it now. But the first thing that comes to mind is sending Furnace along. Partially because Furnace can't be one-shot except for by Cobalt, and I'm not going to see a lot of people take Cobalt into PvP attacks anymore. And honestly, I might be using this guy on PvP attacks and not PvP defense. But Furnace is a one that comes to mind because he has very, very high health pool. It may actually take us back to a mechanic where we're going to use a defense-based Furnace. Just because we can taunt once before the match even starts, and then even if someone like Koros purges it, we can retaunt then and really take the damage off the team. So keep that one in mind, and when you use PvP offense, bringing Furnace along could be a major game changer. Alright, let's go ahead and ascend him and see what his character profile looks like. His fin got bigger, and it looks like he got a shoulder pad, and his little belt now goes over his shoulder. Looks pretty cool. Not quite as cool as Admiral Creel yet, but his teeth got bigger too, I think. So his next, we have his ability. The Light Nova is 319, and yeah, it gives that possible shock damage. So his second Ascension is pretty standard stuff as far as Celestial Evos go. An 8 and a 2 is almost par for the course for pretty much every single hero. Almost every hero has an 8 and a 2 for Celestial Evos, so this is actually pretty common. We're switching over to Blue Monarchs. We need 30 of them, not too bad there. And a pretty sizable amount of the mid-level Yellow Evos. So what we're going to get out of this, we're going to get an Invigorate, which is his third ability. Fully energize an ally and add their crit 27% for 3 turns. Alright, so we've not seen anything even remotely close to this. Fully energize is a huge, huge, huge deal. The closest we've seen so far is some Echo and Indigo energy-based teams, where somebody like Cobalt gets instant energy or replenishes energy based on kill shots. We've also seen Echo be able to give energy back, and we've also seen Dagran able to give energy back. But this idea here, fully energize an ally, that could very well be a game changer. Because what this is going to allow us to do is it's going to be able to take any hero and in back-to-back turns allow us to basically do the same skill twice. Now the downside to that as far as PvP attacks go is this is the third ability. That's what sucks, because we're gonna have to last a long time to get this off, unfortunately. I gotta see what the cooldown is on it to see if we're gonna be able to start with it. But on PvP defense, should you use him, he may only need to last 3 turns, and it's gonna actually be pretty good. I think this might be better off for a PvE mechanic. I'm not sure if we're gonna get around to it in the PvP offense or defense. Defense, we'll probably get to it if we have him runed properly with some serious damage reduction. But PvP offense, I'm not really sure yet. We will see how that goes a little bit later. Mystical 3, I expected that. Monster Scout 3 increased by 25, same thing there. He now gets the Unnatural Fear trait. This is a monster trait, chance to fear beasts. Anybody that's thinking that this guy here was a direct counter to the beast teams, I don't know if that's 100% true. The fact that he is a monster and the monsters have a chance to fear beasts could be mere coincidence. It could be a direct response to how powerful Solaris was, and maybe partially why these boss events are so close to the previous one, because you know, it is pretty soon after the last one. It's only been 2 months or so. His last one, negatively charged. Any character doing damage to this hero will lose energy. Allies can't be slowed. That is pretty cool trait there. So any character damaging this hero loses energy. So essentially what that's going to do is opening round AoE attacks from PvP attackers, and all of a sudden they're maybe not going to be able to do their second ability. Can't really confirm that yet because I don't know exactly how the energy looks. If everything starts charged, if they take a one shot of energy loss, they really shouldn't be able to do their second ability on the second turn. So this thing here is going to be pretty cool. And then allies can't be slowed. This is a direct counter to like Grognog and Bolvis and Mango Jaw. So I think that's going to be really helpful as well, because it's going to maintain your attack order. You're not going to get slowed down and cause you to have any issues here. So that allows you to kind of use normal heroes more so than maybe you would have needed to. You don't have to have as many fast heroes. But I think this is going to be probably his best trait, the fact that your allies can't be slowed, and the enemies are going to lose energy. So we'll need to see this long term in terms of what teams we go against, teams that are really needing that energy on that first and second turn. It's going to be more so of which teams have a really good second ability. So I'm looking at Shade to start with. Shade's going to damage somebody. I don't know if Shade's going to damage him, though. That's the problem. It's going to be the people that do AoEs that we're going to get that guaranteed proc. Shade is still going to attack who he wants. If he doesn't attack Marrow, then it's not going to help us. But delaying that Spirit Link could be really, really helpful. So we won't know how this goes until we actually get into some PvP, but we'll get there. So let's go ahead and ascend him, see what his character art looks like. His belt got a little shinier. He's got some shoulder spikes. Teeth look the same size, and his fin didn't do much else. I don't know if I can turn him or not. Back of him, pretty good size fin. He's kind of neat looking. Nice dark eyebrows. So he's pretty cool. Looking at his rune loadout, yellow, yellow, red, green, blue. This is what I would call a standard light hero loadout, so he doesn't have anything really weird like all yellows or half yellow and half red or anything out of the norm for the most part. For those of you that are hearing weird little things, that is indeed my baby. And he is joining me for this recording. So hang tight one sec. Gotta pacify him. There we go. Okay, so looking at Marrow here as far as how we're going to use him, we obviously want to use him in PvP. PvE, anybody can be viable with any team. We're more curious about what's going to make him good. At first glance, because he's a caster, there's obviously synergies with people like Dagrind, people like Astrid, and those are the first two that come to mind. I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head. Monster teams, because of that skill, I don't see anything really else that he's going to offer other than increased skill and those other couple of traits. We need to start looking at what the other monsters are going to offer to him. Off the top of my head, it's either Femus or it's Phenol that has the extra health given to monsters. That's going to be good for him. And then also we have, I can't think of the other one. One of the other monsters gives a passive to other monsters as well. So what we're going to do is I think we should get into some PvP, have a quick look. I'm going to go ahead and rune him out a little bit and take care of my baby here. And then we'll be back with some PvP. Okay, so let's take a quick look at how I decided to rune him out. Because it's still early, I don't know if this is going to be a viable rune theory or not. He is a caster, so I expect him to have a little bit of power to start with. My plan to begin with is because he is he's mostly support in my opinion, and the only way that he's going to serve his purpose, I feel like, is if he stays alive. So what I decided to go with is the Guardian Rune. This is to help prevent one-shot kills from Shade. Bulwark for a little bit extra defense. There's nothing special about this. This is just a one that I had laying around. It was a 4-star legendary. I found it in a dungeon earlier today that I was farming. Got a red tactics rune. It's one of the few instances of a red rune that you can actually get some defensive capabilities out of. It's got extra crit, extra skill, and some extra attack, but it's got the damage reduction in PvP. Aegis rune, double dose of damage reduction plus a little bit of defense. Unfortunately, no fourth stat. Like I said, that's okay. I had this one laying around basically for such an occasion. And then we have a greater Aegis, which reduced damage from Rogue. That's going to help us survive Hopper attacks. We're going to be okay from Hopper's opener anyways because of his passive trait that he takes less damage from AoEs. So we're pretty much good there. About 10% damage reduction, a little bit of health, a little bit of defense. His overall stats for a 2-star hero, he has an attack of 1800, defense of 5500. You show me any other 2-star hero that has a defense of 5500, and I'll be pretty surprised. That's impressive. By comparison, when I pimp out my Astrid is mostly attack right now, but I don't even think she comes close to 5500 defense. That's insane. So I think even though Marrow is a caster, he's gonna be defense and support for the most part. Very, very, very low health pool. Nothing I can do about that right now. Very high crit chance. He's got the max of 50, so no bonuses there. But we're gonna see how he does here. I also put a Blessing of the Seeker on him just for a little bit extra damage. But yeah, 1800 and 5500 for his stats. So anybody that's not on board with Marrow yet, he's going to be pretty strong. Don't get me wrong. It might take a little bit to figure out how to use him and who to use him with, but he's going to be pretty strong. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a couple of PvP raids here. I only have a few, so I'm going to go ahead and do those. Oops. And we're just going to attack somebody. See how we do here. So we're going to start on the right here, Mr. Bobby 602. 5500 rune power. Pretty much par for the course from the raids that I'm getting. 5500 rune powers. This is almost as maxed out as can be. And this here is actually one of the single most popular meta defenses right now. Pretty much Shade and Hopper +2. Usually it's Shade Hopper Solaris +1, but I'll say Shade Hopper +2 because honestly, a lot of people don't even need Solaris on their PvP defense, even though she is super helpful. So I'm not going to just randomly pick a team here just to try and use Marrow. Obviously, I want Marrow to survive. I want to get a sense of what he can do. So I'm going to try and complement him a little bit. But I'm also going to try and win this raid as well. So I'm going to pick some people that are going to help me. Anytime we're going against a Solaris team, we're almost forced to use Hopper. I'm not going to steer away from that just because I have Marrow on my team. I don't think that's going to be a smart decision to abandon your core tactics just because of a new hero. So I'm going to take two power hitters to start with. I'm going to take Shade and Hopper because they're big ones. I'm going to go without Solaris for the first time raiding in a very, very, very long time. What we're going to add in, obviously Marrow for our support. And then we're going to use Astrid. Astrid serves two purposes here. She's going to protect both Hopper and Marrow. Hopper's just kind of there. Marrow's a caster, Shade's a caster. They both get protection from Astrid. Extra 50% defense for Marrow. 5500 plus half of that is another 2000. We're looking at almost 8000 defense for Marrow. That's pretty hardcore. But if anybody dies in the opening salvo, we're screwed because of their Hopper. That's the downside here. So we know that Marrow's going to take very little damage from Hopper because of the reduced AoE. I also have a little bit of reduced from Rogue, plus his defense is just overall very high to start with. He shouldn't be one-shot by Shade. He shouldn't be. But being that he's 2-star, and this is probably a pimped-out Shade beyond belief. Obviously all superior. I mean, the rune power suggests it's all hardcore, but this does not look like a defensive Shade. So my goal for this particular raid, we have to kill Shade and Hopper early. But I also want to see what Marrow can do. We're going to try and take out the Hopper. Hopper's got all defense. That's going to be really challenging. But let's give it a go. We're not in this to do any type of PvP titles. We want to see how much damage Marrow can take. That's what people want to know. Is Marrow going to be viable in a team? Keep in mind I'm also using Astrid on here, so the amount of damage that he takes or doesn't take may be slightly skewed because of that defense. We see the taunt on... yeah, Copper's dead. That's a bummer. We see the taunt on Astrid. I don't know if that's going to matter here. Obviously, Shade couldn't be taunted. Hopper is going to increase Astrid's attack, but with my Hopper gone now, which I expected that to happen, I kind of thought that Shade would go after Marrow, but he didn't. And so if he didn't, he didn't. Nothing I can do about it. That's pretty much how those raids go. And yeah, their Hopper's very, very strong. Well, we're going to lose this one, so kudos to, what was her name? Bobby, I think. So this is a single target one, and it is a chance to paralyze and gain energy. We're not going to be able to paralyze Shade or Hopper, so we'll just try and toss this on Grognog. And it didn't look like anything happened, although he does have... He's got shocked. We had that on there. Okay, so paralysis, he has a chance to lose. It's a chance to lose the next turn. It's just a chance. So it's not a guaranteed thing like Frozen or something like that. Unfortunately, Astrid is diseased, so we're not going to see any fireworks here. Unfortunately. Do a double dose of Spirit Link. I think we're going to Spirit Link on Hopper, just because. And now what do we want to do? So, Marrow's going to die on the next turn. That's happening. So he's not going to get to use any of his other abilities. So we'll try and spread some of that shock damage. And he's dead. Nothing we can do there. Alright, so... here we go. And, yeah, poor Astrid. She's going to kill me. Well, so this one didn't go well at all. I would say it kind of went as planned. I didn't expect to win. I don't think Marrow's the answer to this particular team, at least now with the team that I brought. We'll do a couple more raids, though, just to see if we can keep Marrow around for a couple of turns, and see what we can do here. This one here's got to be easier. Okay, none of the real big hitters, so my Hopper's going to be super helpful here. We'll use the exact same team. Should be okay here. The anti-slow trait is going to be nice. It's not really going to make a difference here. All it's going to do is it's going to make sure Astrid gets to take her turn before those other guys do. But that's about it. But it'll more impact the second round than it would the first round. Alrighty, now let's do some Hopper damage. You'll notice Hopper's damage has gone down now because the monster buff has disappeared, I believe. Alright, we're forced to attack here. He doesn't have that blind eye where we can attack anybody, so I have to go after the taunter. That's okay, though. There's the buff, so I got a little bit of energy. That's the first time that I actually got to use that. Okay, we're going to get another turn because of that, yes. Let's steal Bovis's thing here. And Grognog's just laying dead right in the middle of the, the room here. That's kind of funny. Let's kill Solaris first. I'm doing that just so Grognog comes back to life. I want to have a couple extra turns for Marrow here. I expected that energy... I expected more energy out of Marrow because I did do that little purge thing. I guess not this time. Okay, so that one was a lot easier when we're obviously not going against the hardcore meta defense. That one wasn't anything too challenging. This one here is also not going to be challenging, but I'm going to do it anyways, just because I'm going to. So we'll take a look at Marrow's energy usage before we actually use his turn. Now that first ability is supposed to gain energy and health for every buff that he purges, and I thought he purged 2 buffs, but maybe he didn't. Maybe he only purged 1, but I thought he purged the feather and he purged the taunt. So I'm a little bit confused there, but we're still new with him. I'm not even going to do this yet, because I was going to say that may flat out kill him. I don't want to completely obliterate him. I want to actually use my turn here. Okay, so his abilities are at 4. So consume all buffs and paralyze them. Gain energy and heals for each buff purged. So the only buffs that they got, it looks like, is the feather. So I guess we're only going to get 1 energy. And I did see the +1 energy there, so that's fine. We're going to need to go after some bigger fish if we want to really make that pay off. I'm guessing the goal is to ultimately get so much energy out of there that you're getting those skills up. And honestly, that's not going to happen for a bit, because it takes a couple turns for people to really get their buffs going. Oh, I forgot that I don't have Solaris on my team, so I was a little bit, perhaps a little bit too cavalier with my tactics here. I wasn't really paying attention because I was worried about Marrow's skills. I forgot that I don't have Solaris, so I'm not just going to bring everybody back without any trouble. Fortunately, my Shade is a beast when paired with Astrid, so he's pretty strong. Well, I guess not strong enough. Well, we could have won that one. I give that one to you. That was a gift. Okay, here's a little bit different one. We don't have Grognog. We still have a one-shot, 1 kill from Shade here. We'll see if we can get Shade to target Marrow. If not, then Hopper's going to go down again. Also, I have not switched my Hopper back to defense. My Hopper's still on offense, so that's partially why she gets killed so easily. She does not have the stank to hold up to high-powered Shade attacks. I am in the process of switching her back. I just got to switch runes around, and it's pain. Okay, so that didn't work out so well. I thought he would be able to handle that, but I guess not. So not much we can do without him. We can't really see what his tactics do, but might still beat this one. If I kill his Hopper, it's a win for me. Yeah, he's toast. He is toast. Adios, good sir. So we gotta do that, unfortunately. He's gonna possess if he's still alive, but he's dead. Okay. Alright, so I think we're gonna wrap things up from here. So where do we stand with Marrow? For the most part, I think for low-level accounts, anybody that's under, let's say, level 30, I think if you have the ability to ascend him, I think Marrow is going to be very, very helpful for those people. For those of us maxed out at level 70, I think we have a little bit of work to do. We might have to wait around till the next boss invasion, except for the few people who open up their wallets and buy those token packs. Until we get him up to 5-star, probably, I don't know how great he's going to be in PvP. We saw even with Astrid and 5500 base defense, Shade just obliterated him. Now that may not be the case when we get to the combat revamp. We'll have to see how that goes. We'll also have to play around with some of the other monsters. I do not think that he is going to be the catalyst for an all-monster team, sort of like Solaris was with an all-beast team. In PvE, maybe, but being that we don't have a monster healer, I don't see that as being the case. I think he's just going to be sort of a well-rounded hero. So for the meantime, for me, he's not quite ready to be used in the regular rotation. Not until the defensive meta changes a little bit. As long as there's Shades and Hoppers out there, it's going to be hard for me to justify him on my team until I find a really, really synergetic team. But basically, anytime there's Shade and Hopper out there, you're losing your heroes. So you have to have people that can survive that kind of damage. And right now, there's not a lot of teams that can really hack it against an overpowered Shade followed up by an unkillable Hopper. So it's tough sledding out there right now, and this particular hero, Marrow, is not going to alleviate that for the maxed out accounts, but I think you're going to find some helpful teams with him. If you have any suggestions on teams that you think would work for both PvP offense or defense, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll definitely look over them, probably do some videos in the upcoming weeks. But we do have some other things on the agenda as well. We do have a rework from Igorok. That's going to be coming out soon. And then after that, we'll be back to some of the face-off series. But we will definitely keep an eye on Marrow as well. So until then, thanks for stopping by. Thank you so much for watching this video and supporting my channel. If you like this video, please show your continued support by hitting that like button, and be sure to check out both my YouTube channels for new content all the time. And always remember, peace is a lie, there's only passion. We'll see you next time.